Hello and welcome. This is KUOI Talks. We're doing a little bit of a music sit down with Cooper from Desolation Horse. Hey Coop, thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so you guys are getting ready to release your next album, right?
Yep.
What date is that coming out?
October 27th.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. So it's coming up here. And you guys did release a single off the album, Good Boy 2, back in September.
Yeah.
Loved it. Very
Thanks.
good. But yeah, so you guys have been making music for under the name Desolation Horse for quite a while, right? Since like 2018?
Yeah, I always forget, but yeah, 2018 or 2019. Cool. Our first album was in 2020, I think. Yeah.
Awesome.
A few
what do
years,
you think has like really changed about your music since then?
Probably like the thing that's changed the most is the live version of the band, because like when it started, this is still kind of true, but it's like the recorded music sort of functions as a solo project for me, and I'll work with like an audio engineer and just layer all the tracks and make a record that way, which is kind of how I've always done it for my music. But so while we still record that way, the live band is a lot different. Like it's a steady group of 4 of us, so
has that affected how you write and how you create music?
Yeah, I would say so. It's made it so that I write songs that are not as easy to play by myself, which is both good and bad, because I think it's more like directed towards a group performance thing. But I used to play a lot of solo shows and stuff, which I don't really do anymore as much. But so there's like a lot of the newer songs I'm like, well, I can't, if I'm just like sitting around and I want to like play the song for someone, I can't really unless I have the band. So that's probably the biggest change, I guess. And like it's a little more like guitar centric now, and more like slightly more instrumental focused than it used to be. But
cool, for sure.
Yeah.
So you've been based in the Palouse pretty much your whole life, yeah?
Kind of. I grew up here, and then when I was 19, I moved to Astoria, Oregon, on the coast, and it's kind of based there and like Portland area for like 5 or 6 years.
My mom grew up in Gladstone, so I'm pretty familiar with the area.
Right on. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I love it out there a lot. I also lived in Enterprise, Oregon for a while, but so then I just like when COVID hit, I came back to Idaho.
So coming back to Idaho, did that affect how you write at all, or did it affect kind of how you think about your music?
Not really. I guess in the sense that it like changed my lifestyle in a roundabout way. It maybe changed the content of like what the lyrics are about and stuff. Yeah. I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah, and speaking of the upcoming album, what would you say kind of your influences were going into like the writing process for this album?
I wanted it to be a little more pop, like mentality. And we recorded it in a studio instead of in a home studio, so it's a little more hi-fi, and we also paid a friend of mine who's like a audio engineer to master it like more professionally than we've had it mastered in the past. So like I feel like the sound quality is a little more pop centric, and so like since I had that on my mind, I think I was like writing shorter songs,
for sure.
Like slightly more like radio friendly length of songs, and more like traditional song structure and stuff. So instead
I did
of like,
definitely feel like Good Boy was maybe a little bit more poppy than some of your other stuff.
Yeah. And I mean, I've always kind of written music that way, but this time I tried to embrace it a little more.
For sure.
Basically, so and then like on that song, you know, it led to some like we put like there's like a turntable scratching in it, and like some synth things that are kind of like cheeky and silly.
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
Yeah.
What would you say is kind of your biggest lesson you've learned in writing music? Yeah, recently.
what the biggest lesson I've ever learned was?
What is it?
Was to be aware and cautious / respectful about like how much reality you put into your lyrics, just for a bunch of different reasons. But I like to write songs that sort of reflect like things that have happened in my own life, which is totally reasonable to do. But it's like if you do it poorly, you can hurt people's feelings, and that's not cool. So that's like definitely the biggest like life lesson I've ever learned from songwriting. But yeah, I don't know.
For sure. Awesome. Yeah. I think my other question was kind of, what do you want to happen next for Desolation Horse?
I want to just I just want to keep recording music and playing live when we can, and I'm not quite like, for a lot of years of my life I was really like focused on trying to be like a touring artist, and making like my money from that, which would be nice, but I also don't feel as like forced to, or like I'm not forcing myself to do that anymore. It's actually making the whole experience a lot more enjoyable. We play far fewer shows now, and so they're all really fun, and so I just want to keep it that way, basically.
Speaking of live shows, where's your favorite place you've ever played?
Oh, that's such a great question. Maybe one of the scariest shows I ever played was by myself, which actually, it was before Desolation Horse was a band, but I think I played a song maybe that later became a Desolation Horse song, but it was opening for Blind Pilot, who are some of my friends who live in Astoria, at the local theater, which is like 600 people, and so I was by myself.
A little bit different from John's on a Friday night.
Totally. It was really fun. It really like kind of just like, I mean, I guess it probably was the biggest show I've ever played, and since I was by myself, it was like really nerve-wracking, but it was also really gratifying, and it was fun. And I played way too fast because I was so nervous, but that was one of my favorite ones for sure. But a lot of my other favorite shows are like DIY shows or house shows or really small shows. So.
Okay, so ultimate peak goal for Desolation Horse, what would you say it is?
Having the freedom to record, maybe like having a label contract that allows me to record music however I want, with whoever I want, but still to get paid for that. That's probably like the peak thing. I think the peak goal would just be like, I ideally want to try to make an album roughly once every year, and just like be able to keep doing that, and then do like 1 tour a year. So that's the goal.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I have a couple questions maybe.
Yeah.
There was a few that Abigail, you asked very, very similar ones, which is great. But
Nice.
I just want to make sure I don't get any doubles. So you were talking about how your new album is, kind of poppy sounding. But are there any like artists that you would relate your music to?
Maybe like, I'll just say the ones I always say, but like Wilco kind of comes to mind. Also Pavement comes to mind. Maybe Guided by Voices. These, which are all like 90s indie bands, so like that general sound I think is like, a lot of people are like, oh, that reminds me of like this Pavement song or whatever. So yeah, maybe that. But like on this record it's a little more like, I don't know, like that Harry Styles song. There's one song that is like very poppy that it's not out yet, but it's kind of fast. It's got like this fast beat, and it's like kind of danceable and stuff. So even like radio music like that, maybe there's some influence this time. So it's
That's
not
fun.
anywhere near as good as those influences, but
That's cool.
Yeah.
No, I like that. This was also, I was just curious about this when you asked this, Abigail, but you talked about your favorite locations or venues, but do you have any like dream places you would love to play?
Maybe like playing at certain festivals would be cool. I think it'd be cool to. This isn't really shooting that high necessarily, but I also thought it'd be cool to play at a knitting factory since like in our area they're kind of like one of the bigger venues we have. But that's my favorite venues are all like probably like 300 to 800 cap rooms, like not like big ones. I feel like that size is really ideal to me.
It's attainable, yeah.
Yeah, and hopefully, yeah, like if I think the key for that would be getting an opening spot for like a touring band, which would be super cool. That would answer your question maybe too. That would be pretty dope. Yeah, opening on a tour for someone.
Do you have like a dream band you would open for, if you could?
Not really, but right now, like the band Wednesday comes to mind for that. Like we saw them play in Spokane. Everyone in the band is just like big fans of them. But when we saw them play, and then there's this band from Madison called Disc, and they are amazing. And I don't know how similar our music is to theirs, but which is probably better even. But they're another band that I would love to open for. But
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I didn't have very many, so.
Cool.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
great.
Mark, you have anything?
I don't have it.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Coop, so much for joining us.
Yes, thanks for having me.
This will probably be up on socials, but do you have anything else you want to plug?
Not really. We have just the album October 27th. We'll do hopefully, I haven't booked it yet, but hopefully we'll do some kind of album release party show in like November or December in Moscow. So if you hear this, like make sure to come out.
We'll
Yeah.
definitely be sure to tack that information in when we see it.
Follow us on Instagram if you want to hear about the shows and stuff. So
Awesome. Thank you so much.
yeah, thanks.